we're coming in, Dad. Excuse me. Sorry, Buster.
Hello, welcome back.
Hello. Hey, guys. Hello.
Alright. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Lucid Planet 2 album launch party. My name is Tessa. I'm sitting here in Melbourne, Australia with the guys from Lucid Planet, Luke, Michael, and Darcy. Welcome back.
Hello.
So if you're joining us after the premiere of the new album, we are so stoked to have you here. This album has been so many years in the making, and it's pretty mind-blowing. Do you feel like the album you set out to make matches up with what your fans just heard?
Yeah.
I would say yes. In my opinion, I would say it exceeded our
It definitely exceeds what we conceived of at the start. We were thinking like the first one, but more, in a more experimental direction, maybe a bit more modern influences, more of the current influences that we're having at the time. But we didn't really know how we would pull that off, and it was a lot of experimenting and trying different things until we really melded all that stuff into one cohesive sound.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that the album is finally here, we're following it up with a live Q&A session right here with the band. You all have had so many questions throughout the whole process, so today is the day, my friends, to finally get your questions answered. Whether you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, we invite you to post your comments right in the comment stream below, and as we go along, our team will be picking out some of the best questions and comments to share with the band. So whatever you're feeling about the album, we want to hear it. We're also super excited to be hosting a couple of giveaways during the live Q&A session for brand new, never-before-seen Lucid Planet merch, which we'll be sharing a sneak peek of at the end of the live stream. There are 3 different ways you can win. The first is to make any purchase from the band's merch site, www.lucidplanet.net, within the next 24 hours. So if you make any purchase within the next 24 hours, you'll be automatically entered to win. The second way you can enter is simply by posting your thoughts on the official YouTube video. So whatever you're feeling, whether that is funny or meaningful, totally out there, share it with the band. And after 24 hours, each band member will go through and pick their favorite comment. So Luke will pick his, Michael and Darcy will pick theirs, and each one of those will be a winner of that merch. And the third way to enter the giveaway, and the easiest way by far, is just to share the YouTube video with your friends on Facebook. So tell your friends what you think about it. Make sure to tag at Lucid Planet Band so they can see that you shared it. And they will be picking a winner by the end of this live stream. So now is the perfect time to share the video and get entered to win. If you need any more details about the merch giveaways, all of that information is in the pinned comments right below in the stream comments. All right, guys, so let's get into it. This has been a massive effort in every way, and now it's out in the world. How does it feel to be done with the process?
Relieving, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, full on.
a huge relief.
It is. Why is it a relief?
Just the amount of work and the amount of sort of like the tough times that we've gone through to make it happen. But honestly, like there's a lot of relief. There's a hell of a lot of excitement, and I can't wait to we've already read a lot of feedback. It's been amazing. I can't wait to hear the full reception after it's been out for a little while.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's something special.
Yeah.
Can we get rid of the dog?
Oh, you don't like it?
Nah, look at him.
He's alright.
Yeah, it's like very relieving considering that it takes up like a massive portion of your like life while you're doing it, right in the midst of it. Like totally thought consuming, time consuming, all that type of stuff. And to kind of just, it's not the end by any means, but
Yeah.
to be done with that chapter is like,
Feels good.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Luke, you've played a lot of different roles on this album. You've played the punchy bass guitar, you've engaged with social fans all over social media, and you've actually stepped up into the massive new role in this one of vocalist. So what was that like for you?
What was that like? Yeah, I mean, like that was obviously a hugely fresh, but exciting process for me. I suppose, like, once at the time that we sort of parted ways with Dan, obviously we were sort of really looking for someone new. We auditioned somewhere between 40 or 50 new vocalists, and eventually sort of realised that I probably had, I could sing well enough. I got some lessons. I got 10 vocal lessons with a really good vocal teacher in Melbourne. And honestly, I think we just, as a group, we just decided and realised that my ideas and the way I execute it will probably be the most accurate for what we're sort of looking for, and I think it did. I think it captured the sound really well. I think it lends itself to the instrumentation really well, and I'm really happy with the result. I think we are as a group. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. We've also got Darcy, the guitarist and producer for Lucid Planet, and that has meant managing a lot of different moving parts for this album. So how did you piece together the production on this one?
So there was like, apart from like your normal drums and guitars and bass and vocals kind of get up when you're doing a record, there's like obviously there's a whole lot more kind of going on. There's a whole lot of different influences, and considering we were aiming for something that's like, I guess, our take on like psychedelic metal, there was no like blueprint to work off and have any reference apart from bands or songs or artists that sounded nothing like we kind of do, but just drawing a little bit from them. So it was like a bit of a learning curve trying to like meld all these influences together from a production standpoint, from a writing standpoint as well.
Yeah.
It's just, well, like, you gotta kind of challenge yourself, I guess.
Yeah,
you can't
absolutely.
just like do the same thing over and over again and like stick to the old guitar bass. For me anyway, got no problem with it.
Yeah.
But that was the aim, to like try and do something brand new and try to kind of
Meld some worlds together.
experiment with a whole bunch of different sounds.
Yeah.
And I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like a lot of people are agreeing that it's worked out pretty well. It's pretty
So,
different.
thanks
Very
guys.
exciting.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we've got Michael Box, who's the band's guitarist and also the mind behind the Crazy Visuals show, the website, and Lucid Planet merch collaboration, which we'll talk about a little more shortly here. But tell us what it's been like for you to transition into all of these different jobs.
Yeah. So generally, normally in a band, you sort of choose your instrument and you just stick to that role. Obviously, there's 3 people and you just heard a shitload of things happening. So it's obviously everyone branches out into different roles and stuff. And I've got the computer science background, so I've really sort of taken control of all the digital stuff, being the visuals and the website and stuff. Obviously the visuals you just watched was how long? Maybe like maybe a month of
Solidly just doing
Flat.
that.
Like
Yeah.
And
flat out,
especially-
12-hour days, guys. Like,
yeah, especially the last 2 weeks.
3
It's
weeks
probably
straight.
been 12-hour days every day.
Yeah.
And the last 3 days it's been probably 15-hour days with this, sleeping for 3 hours and then rendering and then waking back up, setting an alarm, checking that and rendering and stuff, because obviously like rendering takes as long as your hardware can run it. So
Yeah.
I will say, like, just quickly jump in, like, we've all smashed ourselves throughout this process, but this guy's like really put in. So like, definitely want to acknowledge that. Like,
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
work, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, in terms of what it's like to be in that role, it's like, yeah, it's like the most creatively free position I could ever really imagine myself in. Like, where else could I find a job where I just work on trippy looking things and make music and get to use the sort of more nerdy side of my brain, which wants to make a system that sort of handles all this stuff. And with the system, it allows us to stay completely independent
Yeah.
and has this kind of like almost new kind of business model built into it, and a new kind of way of maybe an artist can approach
Making
something
art.
alive.
Yeah,
music and making
absolutely.
music.
And also
Yeah.
branching into probably so many different industries. Just doing it all, like branching into like, website and visuals and packaging and posting and marketing and making music and doing videos. It's like, it's taught us so much.
Yeah.
This whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the support of your fans, it makes it all possible.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's important to like get on board with that kind of stuff as much as you can, as early as you can. Like, try to be self-sufficient and learn how much kind of goes into what Luke was saying, shipping, making the music, like creating the website and like figuring out how the store works and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You don't need to do it, but like it certainly helps you understand exactly how much kind of would go on to
Totally.
like a major
Yeah.
release.
Yeah.
Also,
absolutely.
like, brings us closer to
Pretty minimal.
to you guys. It brings us closer to the fans.
It really does. Like, we know pretty much everyone's, like, we recognize names, we recognize, that's the dude who said this, that's
Yeah.
this. Like, we sort of talk about
conversations.
You can just say certain names and we're like, oh, cool. So you don't even have to say, oh, remember he's that dude from Colorado or whatever. You just say no, because we handle the packaging, we handle the emails, like everything is so involved with us. And I think, like Das was saying, I think it's very important in anything, I think, to before you delegate things, really know fundamentally what that role is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how would you delegate it effectively? It would
Yeah.
just be throwing your money away. You'd be giving control to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
It's the best way to do it. So we already have a couple of fans and questions and comments. Let's read some of those. Heganali from YouTube wants to know, what element would you say invades the body and mind more, audio or visual? Or would you say the combination of the two is where they prevail?
Oh, it's the two. It's the two for sure.
For sure, I think like that. Like I would say, like if you're watching the visuals, and especially in my opinion, like Mr. Christopherface and Boxy's like amazing work on Anamnesis and Zenith.
Yep.
I would definitely agree. Like I feel like that really invades the body and the mind, like the whole experience as a whole.
Yep.
Personally, I would gravitate a little bit towards answering in the audio realm.
Yeah.
We've spent like we've spent so long and gone so in depth with the audio aspect. So I'm sure that people will really find a lot to sort of delve into
That's true.
the instruments and
Like,
the vocals and stuff. Yeah.
You could like just try muting the video and watching the visuals or something like that with absolutely no music at all.
Yeah.
I don't think that would exactly have the same
Actually-
impact as like listening to an album and you
Yeah.
can kind of listen to the music
Definitely,
anyway.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
that maybe invades it more, but like
Yeah.
mix them together and
Oh,
you've got
it's an
something that's
experience.
Make something pretty
elevates it a little
special.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep. Mitchell McLean on Instagram wants to know, what tuning are you guys in?
Drop B flat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So predominantly, I would say drop B flat for this album.
Mm-hmm.
The first album was C. Drop C.
Drop C for the first album. Drop B flat. Predominantly drop B flat. But then these guys, like Darcy, tunes it even lower than drop B flat. I think sometimes.
There was
they are.
in Organic Hard Drive the main riff in the start part, the jun, 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 jun. That's Luke's bass, and we had it with just normal kind of guitars playing the same riff. And it didn't quite have like this. It kind of sounded a little bit too, I don't know, like
Generic?
yeah, generic. I don't know. Yeah, it just didn't. It wasn't hitting it for
Yeah.
me.
So that was a little change in that one.
Yeah, so
Yep.
what I did was I just picked up the bass that I have at home and like messed around with little knobs.
What's that tuned in like that bass?
That's just tuned in drop B flat as
Oh,
well.
okay.
It's a 5-string bass and drop B flat.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, play the riff on the big bass, and it just sounds like a big low tuned, that kind of North Lane.
Yeah, awesome. Seth McMahon wants to know, was that a generic waiting music at the beginning as well?
No, it's actually Anamnesis slowed down to something.
Oh, really?
You
probably
might
should've
have
known
picked up on
the
that near
vocals
the
started
very
to
end.
happen.
Yeah, the vocals
really?
started to
Okay.
come
Yeah,
in.
the
Yeah.
snare drum and then.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even pick up on that. There you go.
It's the same as the credits music at the end. It's Anamnesis slowed down.
It's like-
Yeah.
Cool.
One more comment. TJXPL4412 from YouTube says, "Of what a chance to breathe it all. Definitely getting that tattooed on me someday." And
Wow.
that's a lyric from the song.
That's an honour, I can tell you that.
And safely said, I never thought that would ever happen. So if you do it, dude. Send us a pic.
That's an honour, dude. Thank you so
That's
much,
fucking
man. Really, that means a lot.
Yeah, so just want to take a moment to let our newcomers know about the merch giveaway that the band is doing right now. The band is giving away a couple sets of brand new exclusive merch. It's not available on the website next year. Excuse me, it's not available on the website yet and won't be available until next year. So there are 3 super easy ways to enter, and we'll be announcing one of those winners here on the live stream near the end. So just check out the pinned comment below on the live stream for more information about that. Yeah, do you want to show the glasses to the fans?
So these
This
are
is the merch
glasses.
that you have the opportunity to win.
Hopefully you can kind of see it.
Hopefully you guys see these. Give it a go.
We're streaming on YouTube and Facebook. That's why 2 people.
It's a bit dark.
You're only seeing one camera.
I'm just going to make it a bit easier for myself.
All right, that's probably good. Hey.
Yeah, good enough.
So you can see what's going on there.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're really, really cool. They're handmade by Luke,
Yeah.
used with the adapted artwork of Mr. Crystalface in collaboration with Michael as well.
Yep.
So we know that Luke, you stepped into the vocalist role in this album, but that was a pretty big change from your last album where Daniel Cross was singing vocals.
True.
Your fans have been asking again and again and again.
Everyone wants to know.
Everyone wants to know why the transition from Dan to you.
Yeah, so I suppose, I mean, does anyone have a sort of good answer? Go for it.
I'll answer.
Okay, go.
Basically, this band, I mean, you've probably gathered from what we just said at the start, like it's basically all-consuming, and
It's
there's
a commitment.
life is all-consuming anyway as it is, and then you choose your pursuits, and each pursuit takes time away from other pursuits, and you sort of at some point got to make a choice. Basically, with this band, it's like we were heading in such a direction, and Dan was like with us the whole way, and like we love him, and everything is totally good with us, and we
Totally amicable, by the way. We absolutely love him. He was in contact with us through the live stream. He's totally proud and happy as with what we've done. So yeah.
Yeah, so we were just going in a certain direction, and his life sort of needed him to be in a different direction, and that's really, it's almost as simple as that. It's like you gotta, in life, you can't choose every single thing you want to do, otherwise it would all be 20 things. You sort of with this thing that you want to really go for, you have to exclude some other things, and that's sort of the choice that he made. And I would say at the time, like, yeah, for sure, like, this band is kind of intense, and
It's intense.
it's not always like intense in a super duper fun way. It's intense in like a creatively
Pretty grueling. It
sucks
can
your
be-
soul out sometimes, and
It
like
can be grueling.
in the best way too. But
Yep.
That's something that's come to a head more so with social media, people talking about like you can actually interact with a band, but it's something that's not still not quite talked about is like how difficult and how much kind of there's not exactly infighting, but there's little battles that happen with collaboration which need to
Naturally,
happen.
when there are three of you.
Because you can't just like one guy can't come up with an idea and like the other two guys don't like it or something like that, or someone doesn't like it and they just say nothing. It's not really a collaboration if someone says nothing and they don't like that part. So if someone says something, it has to be listened. You have to find a bit of a middle ground, and that is what the collaboration actually
Yeah,
is.
it can be tough sometimes.
And it's like you can take it personally, or you can just be like, well, that's just the game. This is what it is.
I think, to reference, so Danny Carey once said, like, you're married to the guys in your band. And it's not always going to be smooth sailing. It's not always going to be sometimes you're going to have battles that you have to get through. And like, honestly, especially to create something like this, like, there have been some battles, but straight out it's been worth it. Because, like, look at the result, honestly. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's gone.
But long story short, Dan's in America, we're in Australia at this point. So
Makes it pretty hard.
Like, as
if Dan was here, we would be, we still
We'd
have
run,
tri-tars
chill.
happening. He would still be in that. We'd probably still be jamming. It would all be good. But like,
And,
life
like,
has a way of making
it's sort of
things
like,
go
you choose your path and you can't, like, just like Michael's saying, like, you can't pick everything in life. That being said, like, it might be interesting for followers to know, like, we've talked to Dan quite a lot. We've expressed interest in, like, some future Tritar stuff and other stuff together. So, like, that could be a possibility at some point as well.
Yeah. So you auditioned 40 to 50 people in the whole process,
Something like that.
and none of that totally worked out. But you do have another vocalist on the album. So tell us a little bit about that. How did that come about?
Yeah, sure. So that's Jade Ellis, who anyone can find her online and on Bandcamp and all that kind of stuff. Her Facebook page, Jade Ellis. She worked with us on the Tri-Tars album, The Strangest of All Yes Is at the Door, which you can check out on the Facebook page and YouTube as well. Made a full visual show with that. She was actually part of that as well. Just purely, honestly, her experience as a vocalist. She's an incredible singer, as people could obviously hear. And her level of professionalism and dedication, like, she just made it so easy to work with. So we literally just said, we literally just said, I went and saw her at a gig just before Lucid Planet 2 really started getting into it. And I just said straight out to her, like, would you be interested in jumping on board for the second Lucid Planet album? And, I said to her, like, would you be interested in doing some solo parts here as well? And straight out, she was just like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, again, so stoked with her level of professionalism and what she added to this album. Really happy.
Yeah, we had a lot of comments on the harmonies between the two of you. So really,
it was
really
good.
nice.
Yeah, I think part of the idea originally was like the band's called Lucid Planet. The planet is made up of different genders, but not just men. Like, it doesn't really make sense to have the voice always coming from a
Male.
man's perspective, because you're sort of missing a whole range of emotions and a whole range of experiences. So we
Settings
thought,
and stuff like that.
why not?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you try and
Capture that.
diversify that a little bit?
Yeah.
Just for sound wise, it's not for. It doesn't have to be for total equality wise. It's just like to really capture this
Yes, to get
broad range of experience and sounds.
all-encompassing thing, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
like-
That goes to like every instrument as well. We've got like the guitars and the bass and all that kind of stuff, and there's tablas and djembes and didgeridoo. It's like
So-
it's all over the world.
If you branch out with instruments, why wouldn't you branch out vocally?
Yeah, with vocals.
We're trying to
yeah.
paint a picture that is worldly.
Totally.
So why not use everything?
That's right.
It got pretty well rounded on this one, so it worked out pretty well.
Thanks.
We do have more questions and comments from some fans. Thank you guys so much. Kyle K, quick question. Awesome album. How long did it take you to create this masterpiece?
3-4 years.
Yeah, it's like
between 3 and 4.
some ideas. The first album was 5 years ago from now-ish. Some ideas have been sort of like chipping away from then. Face the Sun riff was already in there, but obviously we haven't been on it flat out for 5 years.
That riff got the that was written during while we were mixing like the first
Yeah,
album.
that almost
So-
got on the first album.
Yeah, we lost it for like years and years and years, and then going through a whole bunch of hard drives, we're like,
Yep. Hey, look. It's funny how you sort of rediscover old ideas that you end up using. And also, like, and it's worth mentioning, like, Zenith, which used to be called 29.1, like, Darcy wrote the foundational sort of bit for that, 2012.
2012,
like, in his Life in HD, which is sort of like,
just a little solo project.
a solo
just an
project
outlet
from
for
years
whatever kind of crap I was writing there.
Yeah, and like, and some of the ideas that 2012 you know, it's honestly just a culmination of years and years.
But
mostly the bulk of it's what, 3 to 4 years.
It's very solidly 3 years.
3
We've
years,
been
yeah.
basically like
From concept to finish.
Yeah, like from the time that we said like
Let's do it.
we're doing this now. Like it has been
Good 3 years.
good 3 years of you know ups and downs and but definitely like fuck, we've got to make it, we've got to do this, so it hasn't been just whittling around for 3 years. It's been solid hardcore work.
2 to 3 years of a hardcore push.
Yeah, absolutely.
Straight out.
We have a question from Astra Gaming who's asked something that a lot of people are wondering: when are you gonna have vinyls ready?
Oh yeah.
The vinyl question.
The vinyl question.
So there's like heaps of people messaging about vinyl. That is like certainly coming.
It's on its way.
For both albums. I would.
Six to 12 months, probably.
Well, we've got to get like a bit of money behind it.
We're too broke, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a pretty
Long story
expensive
short,
process
we've
to
got to
get
get
vinyls
2
done.
albums mastered for vinyl, and it costs a lot of money to kind of do that. And then we've also got to press both of the vinyls for the album as well. Most places have a minimum pressing of like 100 vinyls. It works out to be so much money.
So,
But it is going to happen. Like I
Yeah.
appreciate the
Probably,
standpoint of
I would
audio
guess
files.
maybe 8 months to 12 months would be my guess.
yes, and with the support of fans is how
Yeah.
literally all
It
of
can
this
happen.
happens
It
at
can
all.
happen
Yeah, I mean,
fast.
if the sales just blow up and we've got 20 grand in the account in a month or two, we'll just do it.
We
we'll
can,
do it next
that's-
week if it can.
Like,
if you get the money.
Tell your friends.
I will say a big constraint for vinyls, probably the biggest constraint, even apart from the huge work that probably Darcy will have to do and a new master, because like you need a new master for the whole thing. Like, you know, the money is the biggest constraint. Honestly, if like fans jumped on and bought a bunch of stuff or donated, honestly, that will happen.
We could
a
even
lot
do
faster.
pre-sales for vinyl or something.
Yeah, we could do that.
But
yeah.
like with the vinyl thing, I want to like long story short, I want to deliver something that's like really good.
Spot on, yeah.
I want to deliver a different master than the one on the CD or for streaming. I want to have it like audio file quality.
Yeah, we don't want to cut corners and just give you a CD on a vinyl.
Yeah.
Like,
It's going to be right. If we do it, it's
The
going to be
vinyl,
right.
the vinyl of the first album will be a complete remaster. Like
Yeah.
it'll sound hopefully completely different because I did the mastering for the first one, and I am by no means a mastering engineer.
Yeah.
So it could
Absolutely.
be done a lot better.
All right. Quick question from Opaque Odyssey for Michael. What software did you use to create the visuals?
This one was After Effects. There's all After Effects, to be honest. Let me think if there's anything else. Just After Effects, yeah.
Yeah, and
After Effects.
you're self-taught in After Effects.
Yeah. I did some YouTube courses. Yeah.
I think that counts as
I think I
self-taught.
did a 30
YouTube University.
YouTube.
like 30 video YouTube course. It was free, you know, like and just experimenting, I guess.
Yeah.
That's actually just kind of stemming from that. That's a really cool thing to kind of dive into is like teaching yourself stuff. With audio, I'm completely self-taught, and with visuals, completely self-taught, that kind of thing. So a push for anyone there who's like, oh, I need to get into a studio and learn from some guy, that definitely helps. Or you need to go to a school that teaches audio. It all helps, but it's all readily available for you. You just kind of will have to
Put the work
really dive into it
have some,
and
honestly,
want to do it.
some discipline and some perseverance of honestly, like, you know, because all
Well,
of
you
us
gotta
really,
want to do it first of all.
all of us, I think, honestly, are self-taught with really everything. Like,
Yeah,
especially-
instruments, all that kind of shit.
Yeah. I guess,
Yeah.
Bar,
Yeah,
like,
my vocals, I've self-taught myself to sing.
bar
Yeah.
a couple of lessons back in like
Yeah,
year
a
8,
few-
year
a
9,
few, but that's
obviously not that great.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say on that is maybe even more than perseverance and that is just curiosity. Like if you just have a curiosity to go like, what would this effect do if I just cranked it up to 1,000, even though I'm probably meant to keep it around the 10
Yeah,
range.
100%.
Just who gives a fuck? Try
Messing
that
around.
and then double that and then triple that and just try these crazy things and then you'll be like, wow, I didn't know you could do this.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
Literally
Yeah,
There's
no
no
rules.
rules
Make
to
them up
anything.
yourself.
Yep.
Guys, the band also has some awesome merch giveaways going on. If you haven't yet heard, you can check the comments underneath the live stream for more information on that, and we'll be announcing one of those winners in just a little bit. A big message in Lucid Planet 2 is the transition from individual journeys into collective journey. So how did that collectivism come together on this album?
You want to say that one?
How did the what say?
So how did that collectivism come together? You had a lot of collaboration on this album.
Yeah. Well, it probably came together out of necessity. I mean, we don't have a drummer, to be honest. So, like the drummer obviously has to come in. The other
Yeah.
instruments.
Drummer was
Chris Cameron. So
Yeah.
Chris Cameron plays in many projects around here. The Rookies, Acolyte.
Yeah.
Probably like 5 more.
Yeah.
And he did a fantastic job on the album.
Literally, I don't know. Like it sounds crazy to say, we couldn't have hoped for anyone. Like if you said, you got the whole world of drummers to pick out.
Yeah,
Which
right.
one do you want to choose? Probably Chris. You know, and that's
Yeah,
like a
sure.
crazy thing to say, but that's
Yeah.
that's legit.
He's like
Yeah.
the way he sets up his drum kit is he has a
Ambidextrous.
ambidextrous kit. So his snare drum's right there. He has a snare drum, a kick drum, and 2 of these pedals that go inwards instead of having double kicks that go
So
outwards.
symmetrical.
And it's completely symmetrical with like, tom, 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 China, China, crash, crash, ride, ride, that kind of stuff. And the way I kind of picture the stereo image when I'm mixing or just kind of producing is like that works perfectly because I like widespread symmetry kind of stuff going on with a little bit of, movement, but it just fell in perfectly. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, dude, this guy wants to like do some drums for us and he's got this kit that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he contacted us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, and he was
Unbelievable.
actually super excited after the first album. He ended up contacting us, knew that we were doing a second album. We ended up meeting up. We ended up having some jams together. Like, I just want to add as well that like, totally could not be more excited and more stoked on Chris's sort of ability and Chris's execution in this
Yeah.
album. Like, he again, like just like Jade, he honestly dedicated himself wholeheartedly and 110% to it. His professionalism and just his skill as a drummer, like mind-blowing. It's
Yeah.
more than beats, in my opinion. It's conceptual drumming.
Yeah, some of my
Yeah.
favorite drumming. Like
I
it's,
love
it's
it.
when I like to air drum to things. This is one of
That's
my favorite
right.
albums to it's like because there is
So
like
he
this,
did well.
There's a lot going
such
on.
concepts. You know, such
He represented you
yeah,
perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
100%.
So on top of Chris, you also had a couple of other collaborators on this album. You had a violin player. You had not 1, not 2, but 3 flute players. Didgeridoo.
Mhm.
How did those all come together?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've all got their own story. But yeah, generally, it's I guess it's a good testament to where we're at. It's just good validation for us personally that all of these guys are actually like legit, like amazing musicians, and you get them in and they just
Yeah.
they just kick
Got their
some
own
ass, you know?
musician lives, like they full on just kick ass in their own lives, and we all just collaborated and made something really awesome. So we should mention Claire Lynch on violins. Thank you so much. Like that, like some of the violin parts are absolutely amazing. And then we've got Dan Samways who contributed to the flutes, and we've got Dan Richardson who goes under the name of Animus. I
Animus,
think.
yeah.
Animus, who he busks in Melbourne City, playing didgeridoo and playing flute. So he was a didgeridoo player as well.
Cool. So
and
you
his
find him in
work-
Melbourne.
Yeah, in Melbourne. Yeah, I actually walked past him on Swanston Street, and I just
Really?
said, "Dude, like, love your stuff." Like, I think, and then from there, I think we
Yeah,
somehow got in
he's a legend. He's
contact with him. Oh, he's like, he brought the professionalism up to a huge standard as well. Like Dan Richardson can't speak more highly of his
Yeah.
ability and dedication to it.
Yeah.
Good respect of the instrument as well. For
Totally.
didgeridoo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
not an easy instrument,
No,
No.
yeah.
Yep.
and he plays it so well.
And speaking of collaborations, you guys have created an awesome partnership with Mr. Crystalface, who created all of the original work that was used in the adapted artwork for the visuals, for the website, for the merch. What does that partnership look like?
Yeah, it's definitely evolved over time. The short story of it was we go to these Psytrance festivals, the DUFs, and we see his artwork displayed a lot. He does galleries and stuff there. He's got these huge tapestries of this super intricate mushroomy art. And then Darcy and Luke found that one day we were on the galleries and came back, found me at one point, like, dude, we found the guy that we want to do the
Found the
album.
guy, I remember that.
And I was like, oh, we already got a guy, whatever, you know. And then seeing that, I was just like, wow, yeah, you know, if this guy's keen, then
Totally, yeah.
we're keen.
And he was like, that should be said as well. I think he heard the first album,
Yeah.
maybe some Charter stuff. Honestly, he was on board so quickly.
Yeah, it's
and just jumped on board in a way that, like, wow, he's already getting into it. Like, he's already creating the front and back covers, and he's already and all of a sudden, like, just a few months ago, he's basically been so kind as to let Boxy just use his artwork and let it flourish in our visuals. And honestly, can't thank him enough for that, and can't thank him enough for all
It's incredible.
the process. Like,
We
absolute
like-
legend.
We like found his artwork and had no idea like who he was, what's kind of going on. But we just love the artwork, and part of like, to preface it, part of like the sound that we're going for this album was to mix that kind of doof culture, the Aussie Psytrance festivals
Totally, yeah.
and bass music festivals in with rock music.
Good catalyst for
And
that,
he
his artwork.
like finding him there, and then him being a fan of bands like Tool, and
Yeah.
he just instantly got
Into it straight away.
So yeah, we found him, we got his art. He found us, and he got us. It was
Just sort of
sweet.
like, yeah, it was a very mutual
Perfect.
thing. It wasn't a like, oh yeah, like can you? It was more just like, guys, straight away, bang,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
There's
Cool.
never been. I mean, I will say also, like I was just saying, this sounds like another bold statement, but if I could choose any artist in the world, again, literally lay every single artist in the world on the table and say which one do you choose, like 100%, not even a question.
Sounds far-fetched to say, but honestly, like through what you've been able to do with his artwork and through what he can just do and the intricacy and the detail in his work, I honestly feel like it does lend itself very well to the intricacy and depth of this album.
Absolutely.
Really,
His art looks like
our sound.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah,
To us anyway,
it's like
we're all
one
pretty
picture.
neutral on that.
Yeah, I think his art has this effect of it's one picture, you zoom in, you see another picture, you
Just
zoom
keep
in, you see
going,
another
like-
picture.
And it's rough and
And
like, you know, it's,
yeah, and there's curvy edges, it's not pristine and whatever. And I think the music is similar to that. There's one picture that you dive into the parts, it's like, oh, that's actually a concept in itself. Oh, there's also some little concepts in that.
Isolate the smallest part and it becomes a bigger thing.
Yeah, so the partnership was perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah,
in the end.
I'm a happy artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got a couple more questions and comments from fans. Quick answers for these ones. Sean Burgess wants to know, when will you be playing live shows?
soon.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, let's address the elephant in the room of COVID-19.
Yeah.
That aside,
Not
like,
soon.
Yeah, so not
As soon as we can,
not too
I
soon. Yeah,
Plus
we've also got to rehearse as well.
Yeah.
Like Boxy said, we haven't got a drummer. Chris Cameron is a busy guy, so
There's
we've
some
gotta-
ins and outs to figure out.
Yeah, exactly. We've got to figure some stuff
But
out.
it's on the cards, honestly. I would say the next 6 months to 12 months,
Yeah.
I'd say we'll be full on getting into
Well
it.
rehearsed.
But also,
Into the
like,
rehearse.
when we choose to do it, it'll be with full intention and like it's not going to be like, oh, let's just learn how to play those songs.
Oh, we're going
on
to do
stage
it
or something. It's going to
fully
be
right. Yeah.
it's going to be
That's
something
another
cool. You know, it's
Yeah,
going
it's
to
gonna-
it's going to have visuals. It's going to have
Yeah.
a thing. It's going to be
It would
an
be-
experience.
Be
So-
to the standard of the visuals and to the standard of the music. That's what we want our live show to be. Like I'm talking like big projections and big artworks and
Yeah.
big things happening and us nailing it in every possible way.
Yeah,
so we'll,
it's a real
we'll get it
spectacle.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't really lend itself to the music to,
Yeah.
you know, go down the old dive bar and just play like this tiny little
Sure.
stage or something like
We
that.
want to make a stage.
Doesn't fit, you know. We're
Yeah.
gonna present the music as we intended it to be
Yeah,
presented.
as the
So,
experience it was created to be.
again, it's a cost thing as well. on top
Yeah,
of it.
sure.
Like with the vinyls, man.
There's lots of things
Yeah.
to
But
consider.
yes, coming.
All right, so Jonathan Waddell from Georgia wants to know, did work on the Trautaz album affect the trajectory of this one?
Yeah, I'd say definitely.
100%,
I
yeah.
don't think they don't overlap.
No, they definitely didn't overlap. But I think what we learned,
Oh,
because we had such free form expression in that, it was
Yeah.
just like, it's like be as silly, be as serious, be as wacky as you want, and then almost like that unlocks parts of the creative experience to like just be able to go. I don't care if I'm making a silly riff. I don't care if the riff goes do 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 do. That's fuck it, like
that
whatever.
became it. Yeah.
And then with this album, it's like again, I don't care if it's gone from this to this.
to
It's
this,
like
yeah.
literally do whatever.
Definitely like influenced the hugely free experimentation, I
Yeah.
would say, in a huge way.
Feeling a little bit more unrestrained.
Free,
And, yeah. Along with that, there's also my project on top of that.
Yeah.
Shwusu.
Which we say, yeah.
At a
And
time.
we do have a little bit of that coming up
Coming,
shortly
yeah.
here, so we'll save it
Yep,
for that.
yep.
Josh Spangler from Iowa asks, what inspired you to become musicians?
Nice.
Just other bands, I guess.
So many things.
Yeah, I used to like listen to music. My dad had like a record player and would just play like a whole bunch of random crap, like Midnight Oil and
What was three bands that did it for you? I reckon?
3 bands that did it for me.
Back in the day, you know. it doesn't
Like
have to be
from like Dot to now, I guess. Pantera, like in Dimebag, all that kind of stuff during high school. Metallica for sure. And then later on, this producer from New Zealand / Melbourne called Opio.
Yeah.
With the electronic stuff, kind of finding
Definitely,
a
yeah.
whole new realm of audio,
Yeah.
being introduced to music of his. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd probably just quickly say like Dream Theater back in the day, early Judas Priest for that more trippier sort of early metal sort of stuff, and then just like straight up Megadeth, you know, like that sort of that's like that, you know, angsty teenage metal shit.
Yep. And I would say for my answer to that, honestly, like you know, again, the elephant in the room. My biggest influence, musician-wise and band-wise, would be Tool,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's something shared between us all.
Yeah.
And we definitely share all that. That would be definitely my biggest influence. And then in terms of like, you know, actual influences to become a musician, I loved like Disney songs back in the day and stuff. Like honestly, I've always been a huge thing I've always had a huge fondness of music and just started playing guitar at one point and then just got right into it. My mum and dad are musicians, they have their own band. And so I took a lot of influence from them and like, yeah, just got right into it. Started playing bass with these guys and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Couple comments as well. Josh Spangler from Iowa says, never experienced anything quite like this. This is awesome. Not just the music, but the live stream with the
Awesome.
world.
Yeah.
So cool to have you guys here,
That's awesome.
honestly.
Thanks,
Yeah, I
man.
did honestly feel like we're all
From
watching
Iowa.
together.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
And we were watching it all together. It was
Yeah, we were
every
all
minute,
here
we were
watching
writing
it.
up.
read
Yeah.
every comment, honestly. We were sitting
Yep.
there, we had this on the TV, which you can't see. We had 2 computers showing both the live streams and
Yep.
just like, fuck, man, these guys get it. These guys
Yep.
are along with the...
Yeah.
They're supporting us. Like, it's all... I haven't seen a more positive stream
awesome,
of
yeah.
comments in my life.
Thank you guys for so much for being part of it. Honestly, it makes it hugely worth it for us, putting all this effort and time into it, and then to have that feedback and to have it pour in like that, very exciting.
Yeah. By the way, if you haven't entered yet, you still have time to enter the merch giveaway for that brand new, never before seen artwork glasses
Should we
here.
try and show it again?
Give it a go. That's probably, yeah,
Because
give
the
it
darkness
to a
of
dark
that
one.
glass
Yeah.
didn't really...
So we're going to show you guys what's going on here.
Is that going to work? Hey, that's a slight
We've got a bit of blurriness happening, guys. Sorry.
There you go. There you go.
Alrighty, so the details for this merch giveaway are in the comments below the live stream, and if you haven't shared the YouTube video yet and tagged the band, we'll be announcing that winner at the end of the live stream. This album has departed quite a bit from the traditional rock and metal genres, and it's really interfused elements of electronic music throughout. So how did that come about?
Oh,
Yeah, probably this
Go
guy.
back, go back to what I was saying before. So, 2014 or something like that. That was probably like a little bit after I got introduced to that producer OPO and dudes like Spoonbill and I was maybe
Tipper.
Tipper. I was maybe touching on like a little bit of dubstep as well when that was like a big thing.
For sure.
And then like I was always of the opinion up until the point I was hearing these guys, I was like, oh, electronic music's just easy. You just turn on the synth and beep, 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 David Guetta kind of stuff. But then, you try and make it and you're like, oh damn, this doesn't sound
Oh, that's cool.
this doesn't sound huge, this sounds like absolute
Yeah.
shit.
I will say,
So-
like, I try to jump in and do what Darcy does, and honestly, I'm just like, Darcy, why doesn't it sound good? And he goes, oh, you just apply that EQ and apply this filter and do that. I'm like, whoa. Like, all of a
So-
sudden, I'm like, okay.
Like from 2014 I was like, oh, I should just like start making like this big bassy funky, because that's what sounded good to me. I'm like, yeah, this like bassy funky psychedelic music is like spot on. Let's try and make that. I had a hand at making it, and like off the bat I already had a bit of a mixing and production background with rock music, so I sort of knew what was going on.
Yeah.
But it was still pretty rough. And then over the years just kind of messed around with it more and got more into that sound, and there's more artists out there like Tipper, and they're obviously doing it, in my opinion, a lot better than I'm doing. But
But I don't like
to mix, like,
No, it's good as Tipper.
that leads me to the reason why we made the album in the first place. Is that like I'd never really heard someone mix this psychedelic bass music with rock music.
Yeah, the meld of genres, I think.
And it's like, do we put guitar music? Do we put guitars over the top of like
Psytrance.
this glitchy psytrance or whatever it is, or do we like try to just put the psytrance sounds into that?
Separate.
How do we kind of work it out? That was the process of the album. And I think we kind of found that midpoint that we wanted. It's not way too trippy,
Either way, yeah.
psytrancey kind of stuff, and it's not way too rock music and
Yeah,
whatever.
it's well and truly.
I feel like we, there's probably more to touch on for sure, but
That covers it.
yeah.
Lucid Planet is a fully independent band.
Mhm.
What does that mean for you guys?
Yeah, it means
Harder work.
More work.
It's a lot of work.
means if you work a job, you basically work your job and then you do this job. But it means basically no one tells us what to write or tells us what to do at all. We choose our own directions. We choose how we sell our music. We choose the kind of everything we choose, and like what it also means is that we can sell things the way we want to and distribute it the way we want to, which is at this point it's pay what you feel is fair, which means if you're from a country where your dollar is ridiculously low and you're like, dude, like I can pay $20 or 20 Australian dollars because my dollar to you is like, that's like fucking $100. So I can spare $2 of your money and then for sure pay $2. If you're 13 years old and you don't have any money, then get it for $0. Or if you're 30 years old and you're going through a rough time, get it for free and just pay us back later. I think it's it's like no label's going to let you do it. And no
That's right.
serious sort of thing is going to
Yeah.
tell you to do that because it's not in this sort of structure. But you stay independent, you just sort of create
You
your
can
own
do that.
world.
Even like creatively with writing the songs and all that kind of stuff, like there might be labels out there that a band struck a deal with and the band can just kind of do whatever they want, but let's say predominantly for like up and coming bands, they enter into some kind of like deal with a label to get a bunch of money to make a record, and they might want to do something one way, and the label's like, oh yeah, so that thing that you really wanted to do, that song that you really liked, yeah, that's not on the album because that sucked and we don't think it'll make the album sell, so fuck you.
It's great being unrestricted like that.
Yeah, so like, you know, who are we going to answer to? We're like, hey, so we're going to have a psytrance bit at the end of this song, and then it's going to go ambient, and then it's going to go to this reggae song. What do you think about that, guys? And we're all like, sure, why not? I don't care.
And I will just like super quickly add that for 10 seconds, just like the fact that we actually are able to, the fact that we've taken on the role of being so independent does bring us, as I said earlier, it does bring us so much closer to the fans. It helps us to connect so much better and such a deeper level. We know the names of fans. We've had many conversations with fans. I'm friends with a lot of people on Facebook. These guys are too. So we've met people through that, and honestly, like, yeah, it just brings us a lot closer.
Yeah, message us directly. You'll literally talk to one of us.
One of
There's
us,
no
yeah.
team
Yeah.
members. There's no other
Yeah,
shit.
that's right. Yeah.
I'll also say, when you make a band or you make a business or something, it's your chance to make your own little world, and you can just define your own rules in the world, and the only way that your world works. And most of the time, people sort of try and create their world, and then they get sucked into the bigger world, and then they go, oh, we need to be doing it this way. Which with a band, you've got such creative freedom to literally do anything you want. You can give it away for free if you want. And that's a bad business model essentially, but it's like maybe it's a good business model because maybe there's enough people, like all these people that watch the stream, and they're like, dude, it's like whatever the fuck you do, I'll support it. You can give it to me for free, but I'll pay fucking $50 for it.
Yeah, and that's
And
the
people
beauty
do
of
it,
that's
you
the
know?
beauty of the pay what you feel is fair model, is that not only do you allow people who can't afford it to have an opportunity to listen to it,
Totally.
but people who can pay you what they feel
Yeah.
is valued. Many people do pay over $20, $25
People have
for
paid
the album.
$250. People have paid, like someone. We're sort of waiting for the time when there's a millionaire who goes, "This is my favorite band. You can have fucking $100,000 right now." And we're like, "Thank you." You know, like
If you're out
But
there.
yeah, and like, let's say the album is like $20 as it is. If a dude pays $40, he's essentially just like he's paid for some other guy's album that couldn't afford it
Yeah,
or didn't want to
yeah,
pay for
absolutely.
it. So it kind of
even-
equalizes out, you know.
At least that's the
eventually.
idea.
it balances out. Or the thing is, it's like it's sort of creating the world you want to live in a way. And even if we lose out on it, it's like maybe we're the guinea pigs for someone else to do it better than us or something. Or maybe it's just one extra sort of person one extra group who's doing that role of like, I trust the world. You know, I trust the people will do the right thing. I trust the people will give more when they can, or give the right amount when they can,
And they do that.
or give nothing when they can't give anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I will say one more thing. It's for 1 week. It's $15 minimum on the digital. After that, it goes to $0 if you want. So if you really need it for 0 or under 15, just wait a week and you can get it. But we're just keeping it. You have to pay over a certain amount just for the first week.
Because it's
so we
worth
can-
it.
Just so we can,
Yeah.
just I mean, like, if you really like it that much, just please support us like that. But if
Otherwise,
if
listen
you,
to it on YouTube for free.
Otherwise, just listen to it on YouTube and then just get it when it's cheaper.
Yeah, we have more fan questions and comments. Kevin Doyen from Melbourne, Victoria asks, do you guys see a Lucid Planet 3 in the near future? And have you played around with any ideas down the track as well?
Like,
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
obviously,
Definitely,
like,
that's
obviously,
the-
at some point, you know, this is just going to keep going until whenever. I can't see myself, you know, from my own personal standpoint, I can't see myself just like, I've made music for however many years. I can't just see myself stopping for no reason. So certainly,
In
but
saying that, in the near future, like after this
obviously this
ridiculous
took us like
push,
4 years.
like in the near future, no, but I do see that happening
Yeah.
for sure.
we got to kind of like, I don't want to approach it the same way we approached the last two. Like, I want to figure out exactly how we're going to approach it from a production and writing standpoint, not to make it completely different, but hone the sound and like figure out how we're going to do it maybe a little bit more efficiently.
Streamline the
and
process.
better. Yeah.
We're still right now. We're in experimenting and discovering stage. So I think third album in, we might be more at a thing of like we're professionals now. We know the sound. We get the sound that we want.
And I'd say like the conversations will happen, these sorts of conversations, the experience that we've gained
They
from
already
this
do kind
album,
of happen,
these
yeah.
conversations will happen prior to the third album now. So like obviously the process, like you're saying, the process will be totally streamlined.
And obviously we totally get that like 3 to 5 years is like no, it's like
Feels
it's
like a
hard
long
to wait
time.
out. It's like really that long until
Yeah, but
what?
that's how long it
So-
takes to some,
Yeah.
create
There are
something
like
like this.
there are little chats and little talks of like, you know, should we release a couple of things here and
small
there?
stuff maybe, small stuff.
Small stuff, right? Like one song that's like, you know, your Zenith or your
Yeah,
Amadeus
or a group of
something
songs,
like that.
possibly a 3 or 4 track EP. Who
Little
knows? you know?
EPs, little bombs.
Little bombs.
bombs.
Little bombs.
Lucas Alevi wants to know, do you guys have a home studio to record and work on the albums?
Yeah.
everything happens from our home studio.
Except for the
virtually.
drums on this.
Yeah, we did the drums in the studio. Everything else is basically at his
Or here.
or here. I used to live in a van. I was living in a van for 2 years of this process, and my studio was literally in the back of a van.
Back then. And my studio was in my bedroom at home, and now I've moved it to this home now. So like, yeah, it all happens at home, virtually.
Yeah, basically, like the computer is like a studio. You know, like
It
you
is.
plug your stuff into an interface, and then the interface plugs your
You
computer,
do
and
so
then you have
much.
all this audio suite in there, and you're positioning mics and stuff in the computer.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
really want
It's the stuff that like dudes in the dudes like in the 70s, like Pink Floyd or the Beatles or whatever, like all they could ever dream of was, really, we've got to record 32 tracks, and we're going to commit that all to a tape, and then play the tape, and then we've got this
Honestly,
many tracks, and play
don't
the
know
tape.
how.
If you want to get
virtually-
128 tracks or whatever.
Don't know how we would have done that with this album. It would have been impossible to do that. Like
So,
the
yeah,
layered
it's
element.
like completely free, if you want to do 400 tracks for whatever reason, there is no reason to do 400 tracks, by the way, like channels of audio. But if you wanted to, you can do it. You really wanted to.
Also, just gives you the freedom and the time to just experiment and do whatever you want to do.
Like mess around with it. Why not? You can certainly go out and record guitar, bass, drums, vocals, all that kind of stuff, and include a little effects or something like that, and do it all to tape. And I'd love to do that at some point, just because that's a different experience than what I've ever done.
Yeah.
But like money restraints again. But it's cool to like just have this thing at your beck and call. You can jump on and make some like good sounding stuff, provided that you've got a little bit of knowledge behind it.
I think in the 70s, bands like Beatles and Queen and stuff were using the studio like an instrument. So they were
Beach Boys.
They were not just, like sometimes I've played in bands where we all go into the studio and I bring my guitar in and I play my guitar riffs or something. And everyone does that and it's quite disjointed or whatever. Now we've literally got the studio at our home, so it's like, why not really use
Spend hours.
for Lucid Planet, the home studio is the most important instrument in the thing. It's like we could say no more guitars for the next album, and it wouldn't change that much. If you said no more home instrument, no more home recording setting, it would be a completely different thing. And I think like using this deep knowledge of the software and how to sort of experiment with things is really what makes this the way it is.
Yeah.
You guys are going to see the projects, by the way. That like I'll probably never show anyone because it's like an embarrassment to an extent. But I work in Ableton mostly. I started doing Logic for a little bit and kind of just transitioned back to Ableton because I'm more familiar with it. It's like 200 channels. Some of them have even been comped from like a whole bunch of other ones, so there could easily be 400 channels. But most of it's just like weird little stupid sounds and all that kind of stuff. Super hard to mix. There's a lot of like kind of bussing going on, but like it looks like absolute trash. If anyone wants to know what a like Lucid Planet project file looks like, just like tip a whole bunch of garbage all over the floor and try and sort that out.
Yeah, for sure. So one just quick comment. Chris Turner from Sydney says, what I love about everything so far is I couldn't predict any of the changes.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
we like to thank Chris Turner for supporting us this whole time.
Yeah,
He's one of those guys who we see all the time. We're like,
Yeah, once again, like that's a name that's come up over the last over the last few years. Like Chris has showed up a number of times. Like again, this is our independence and our ability to connect with fans like that. Like thanks, thank you for being involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Wonderly.
Oh, there's so many. There's heaps.
Corey.
Eric Wonderly. Yeah, there's too many to name. Honestly, like thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the unpredictableness is what makes it interesting for us too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We didn't know it was going to happen either, so it's pretty spot on.
Worked it all out. So every fan of Lucid Planet is well aware of the influence of Tool on your music. But aside from bands, what else has influenced this album?
Oh, it's just...
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Apart from
Lots
bands,
of
yeah,
things.
I think we were touching on it earlier. Like, I think somehow the Australianness of it is very prevalent, and I don't even know how to put that into words other than like, yeah, I'd like to think that someone from this country and then someone not from this country might see it as like exotic or something like that. But people from this country will be like, oh, yeah, these guys, they know it. They've seen the same scenery or something as us, and I think like, almost in a way more than you can pinpoint a band that's influenced. I think that's, to me personally, that's what's the main sort of underlying current to this is the Australian bush or the Australian kind of vibe or way of looking at
just
things,
like what
atmosphere
the
sort of.
scenery looks like.
Yeah.
We just like it's kind of soundtracking. If you took a walk around the bush, you needed a bit of a soundtrack to go behind your crunching of the leaves and all that kind of stuff.
With laser lights and shit. If
And yeah, then there's just some laser lights and UFOs in the background, all that kind of stuff. That's pretty much what we're aiming for.
And I would just add, like, for a quick 10 seconds, I would just add literally, like, as I said, touched on before, like, you know, certain influences are not as obvious as you may think.
Yeah,
There's obviously bands that are involved, Tool's a huge influence, but it goes deeper than that. Honestly, I'm hugely influenced by Disney soundtracks and things like that, and just honestly life experience, going to these festivals, having all these crazy conversations with all these different people, like, you know, that's what honestly influences us, probably more than any band.
Yeah.
I would say.
Also, like, just a general vibe or general atmosphere. It's like, that's another one of those things that's hard to pinpoint, but it's like, it's like sometimes you don't think this part is like is this band's kind of influence. It's more like this part is like flying on a magic carpet over the desert, and then and all of us will go, yeah, exactly, that's what we're going for. And that imagery
Or the
is
scenery
is
yeah.
what sort of dictates what the music is,
Yeah.
more than a kind of like a mode or like a chord change or whatever. It's not really about that so much.
Yeah. Couple more. Oh, so really quickly, we'll mention again the merch giveaway. So we're super, super close to announcing the winner of that. Details for that are in the pinned comment below. Yeah, for these super, super awesome glasses.
Very cool.
Couple more questions. Butters on YouTube wanted to ask, have you created a new genre?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Leave it up to you.
Yeah.
The idea with like the first album was, I think we're all obviously into Tool, like Deftones and, you know, Grails and Ohm and all that kind of stuff. Like kind of this like different vibe of psychedelic music. And I think like what we're kind of looking for was like, oh, let's try and like, are there any psychedelic metal bands out there? Like, is that even a genre? You got psychedelic rock, obviously. People associate Jimi Hendrix with psychedelic rock. What's psychedelic metal? So creating our own brand of that, like Tools are probably the obvious, like the obvious comparison, obviously.
And I just say like,
But yeah.
I feel like melding, like in the sense of like we definitely didn't. I don't think we definitely didn't set out to create any new sound or new genre, but combining all the influences of like psychedelic based music and festivals and bands and metal and, you know, like all that kind of stuff, combining them into one, I think does create a bit of a original and fresh kind of thing. Like, you know,
Putting different elements into what is essentially progressive rock.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
It's the genre as a whole is progressive. It's kind of progressive rock, but maybe maybe the band can't say that it's a new genre, but I do think it does make sense that I can't really pinpoint it in a thing other than psychedelic metal. But then even the metal influence is not super strong in a lot of cases. So.
I'd say rather than creating something new, the combination is fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. Johan Rampon wants to know, did you struggle expanding to such horizons without losing the core identity of what the band set in the last record?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sort of. Like there was probably a moment in time where we strayed away from what the first album sounded like. Like we fought around with having like total, you know, dubstep, electronic drums, that kind of stuff. You know, your big, massive, hard-hitting snares that are right at the front of the mix, and that was like partially my influence of trying to work out how this is gonna go. And then we're like, well, that's obviously going way too far in one direction. Like we can't do that. We need to introduce like the organic drums and then mix them in with whatever's kind of going on in the electronic realm. So eventually, you know, we extended our journey way past what we were meant to do, and then brought it back into using organic instruments and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To bring it back to be a little bit more cohesive with what the first album was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like doing a sketch. You sort of do a big sort of outline, and then it's a bit dodgy and weird, and then you slowly start to just bring that all back into something that's like one thing.
Yeah. One last fan question. Alexia from Maribyrnong wants to know, what is your favorite song for each of you from this album?
That's a good question.
Actually, just listening to it before, I would have said Zenith, but Face the Sun.
Yeah.
I'd say
It honestly changes
Yeah, it does.
all the time.
organic hard drive for me.
Organic hard drive. Yes, honestly, like I started off with Anamnesis. Probably I'm intrinsically connected. I sort of like wrote the very first idea for that and sort of like ran with it. I loved Anamnesis to begin with. That sort of started slowly changing to Zenith and Organic Hard Drive. Honestly, it's very difficult to pick out one. They're all so different, and if I had to say, I'd probably say Zenith.
But
I love the outro of Zenith.
I'll also
I love
say
it.
Digital Ritual is the most interesting for me to listen to.
Yeah, for sure. It is actually like it's hard to say what's your favorite if you've listened to the song like
So many times.
A million times.
a million times, like every day for the past like 4 years. You listen to like what you just heard, and also like different iterations and versions of all the songs. Like sometimes it's hard to say that you like fully enjoy it, but you still like it. It's a weird, it's kind of indescribable.
Yeah, it's
I
hard to
guess.
sort of
Like a
like
love
describe
hate.
that thing. It's almost like you hear something, like I know it so well that I can't hear it, but also I know it so well that I hear it better than anyone in the world could hear it. Like I simultaneously can hear it better than anyone and also not hear it at all anyway.
We made the songs to, we made the songs because we wanted to hear what that would sound like, so we obviously enjoy them, but it's like hard to pin it down sometimes.
Yeah. So it is finally time to announce one of the winners of this awesome merch giveaway. So if you've shared the YouTube link on Facebook with your friends, we'll be announcing that winner
Who
right
will win?
now. Who will win? Our team behind the scenes has gone and randomly selected a winner. And the winner is... Can I get a drum roll, boys? Mon Flowers from Toronto,
Flowers.
Ontario,
Flowers.
Canada.
Canada.
Congratulations, Mon. Thank you so much for sharing the
Congrats,
video
mate.
with your friends.
Cheers, dude.
The band will be in contact with you as soon as all of this is over, but we really appreciate your support. It's people like you that make this thing happen, create the network and spread the word and
Legend.
Yeah, like
make it all possible.
I mean, part of the giveaway thing is because we're like, oh, we're doing a live stream. Let's give some things. Like let's make it so it's like more of a community thing. Like we're giving out some things, you're giving us some things, whatever. You're giving us your attention.
Yeah.
But also, it's to encourage the idea that if you really do just like share things on your Facebook, or you see, or you're in a conversation at a party and someone's talking about a certain band, and you're like, dude, you would love this band. And every time someone does that, it really does.
Goes further than you'd think.
Like it's
honestly.
just there is really that thing of like you say that to one person, they might say that, and then they get influenced, and now they say that to 10,
Yep.
and then you've got 10 people that spreads out, and really,
Yep.
if everyone's just doing that a lot
Yep.
of the time, then it gets bigger. And really, the best way to make these albums quicker, happen more is if we've got more money or more
Yeah.
time to
following.
say, oh, we don't have to work 9 to 5 all the time. We can actually work 1 day a week and then do this. The more, it sucks to say, like the more money we have, the more we can actually do this, and therefore the better the music will be, the more we can do, and the bigger this will be. So not only does it help us, but it also makes more of the thing that you want to
Yeah,
hear.
absolutely. So thank you so much, Mon. Congratulations again. Like I said, the band will be in contact with you.
Thank you so much, everyone who shared the
Yeah,
link. Thank you so
absolutely,
much.
guys.
Like, can't
It's
be
goals.
spoken of more highly. Like sharing and word of mouth is so powerful for
It
us.
really
for
makes a
us, so
huge difference.
Please do continue to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, word of mouth, we haven't even, the first time we haven't had any kind of backing, or we haven't had any backing for
Yeah.
anything. So really,
it's
the
all word
only
of
thing we've ever done is had word of mouth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
That's-
Word of mouth and our own like kind of
and our own sort of
trying
word
to
of
work
mouth.
out how like marketing works and how social media
Yeah.
works by
Yeah.
ourselves. Like
But
that's all we've
how,
got.
how incredible, like how powerful, like, literally, like you're saying, word of mouth has
Yeah.
been our sort of push for years, and look where we are.
We're
There's
nearly
Yeah.
getting
so many people tuning in.
just
live.
about to hit a
Incredible.
million Spotify streams. So reach a million people
exciting.
from just word of mouth is pretty mind
Pretty awesome.
But it shows how powerful it can be.
Absolutely, yeah. So we just have time for a couple more questions before we wrap up the live stream.
Cool.
Joseph Lee Mosqueda Wynn wants to ask, are your families supportive with your psychedelic music journeys?
Yeah.
Good question.
Good question. Yeah.
Well, no one hates it, so
Yeah. I would say, like, I'm going to speak for my parents. They may be watching right now. I don't know. Honestly, like, I would say at the very beginning, it was a bit harder to get them on board.
Yeah.
And then, honestly, I think all of our
Yeah.
parents genuinely realised how important this is to us and how much passion and just energy and time and effort goes into everything involved. And they couldn't be more behind me and couldn't be more behind us now.
I think there's also an aspect of like different musical tastes and like the generation gap and all that kind of stuff. Like, I wouldn't fully expect to get what my child would
Yeah,
listen
right.
to.
Good point.
He grows up, he starts listening to some music that's like whack.
What is this?
Yeah, I'm not gonna like berate him and be like, this sucks. But, like,
you're not gonna really-
I'm gonna be like, what even is
I
this?
don't really
There's
understand
already-
why you're doing that.
Exactly.
Like, it's fine. Like, then it's got to the point where they still probably don't understand why we're doing it, but they're going, okay, it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
So
for it.
taking that into account, yeah, for sure.
I think for my parents, it's been hard for them, to have I had a promising career as a computer scientist, and I was doing that whole thing, that whole journey, and then I was
But-
like, let's just do something that's more like, you know, that was working for someone else's dream, and this is like, let's just, what is my dream? Fuck yeah, let's just so go for it.
Yeah, and we
And I
did.
think at a certain point they're like, oh, we wish he was probably doing a more lucrative dream, but it's like, that's his dream, and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, he knows
But
that
I think,
that's what he wants, and he's so gung ho about it. Let's just
yeah,
go for
and
it.
again, they see how into it you are and how much you just sacrifice and how much you put into it. And almost, in my opinion, as a parent, and I know my parents are like this, like you have no choice but to say like, go for it.
Yeah.
Because like how much can you put into something? You know, that's it's like, wow, if you're gonna do that, then.
Also, you got nothing else to do in life. What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
This is it. Where do you guys want to be in 5 years?
Still making tunes.
Yeah, making music bigger than this. Bigger
Doing shows.
bigger
of
shows,
course.
you know, big shows. Like, yeah, we have
Yeah.
big dreams, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we want to be as real as possible, but also it's not. I would be lying if I said I didn't want to sort of
Make something of it.
make something
Yeah.
special. You know, change some lives.
Yeah.
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 Even if it's just once, I just want to do like a big, like just one big production show that's like got
Yeah.
some crazy shit in it. You know, I just want to do that like once. You know,
Yeah,
we have
for
to
me-
pour in money into this one show.
Yeah, for me, like honestly, that
That's
like
it.
to answer that in a nutshell, in 5 years, I genuinely want to. I don't know exactly where these guys are at with it, but I genuinely want to have played or be like have played some big shows. I want to play big shows. I want to have a big projection thing happening.
Yeah,
I
that's
want
what
us
I
to be
mean, yeah.
standing there, full getting into our instruments. I want people to have an incredible experience, and I want thousands of them there. That's
Yeah.
what I want to do.
Yeah. And within
sure.
the next 5 years,
I think.
who knows?
Who knows?
I think with this band, it's like I always just think we don't want to change the world. We do a little bit, but we don't want to change the world. But we do want to change people's worlds. You know, like we do want someone to say, we do more than anything those messages that come through and say, this year's been rough, but you guys really fucking like meant something to me. And like
That's so
that has
powerful.
changed our world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if we
Changes
can
our
And
change,
that's
world.
what you're hearing.
Yeah, it's
if we change one world, and it's literally like sweet. That's sort of made it worth it.
It does make a big difference, actually, even changing one person's aspect. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's how it ripples out into
does.
everybody else's communities as well, which is sort of a lesson on the whole album.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and then you change that one person's world, then that person is a little bit more bright, and then they sort of
They
spread
change other
their
people's
thing,
worlds, and then that keeps happening, and yeah, there's a ripple effect.
so you can change the world even if you're not really changing the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're about finished with the live Q&A session. Any last... absolutely. So if you
so much
haven't
else.
yet checked out lucidplanet.net, they have super awesome merch on there. Most of it is featuring, almost all of it is featuring the original artwork of Mr. Crystalface, adapted by Michael, and we have some of the merch here to show you. So
kind of sort of hold that
Yeah.
thing. So this is our hoodie.
it's awesome. It's
Love it.
so
Love it.
vibrant.
I mean, the colours are so beautiful. Obviously, this is Mr. Crystalface's artwork. This is our font that we've used. This is Michael Boxy. Just putting it all together. The colours and everything couldn't be more
Yeah, it's
happy with
gorgeous.
that.
They're
And then
really,
we've
really
just
beautiful
Got a
hoodies.
little chest piece on the front
Lucid
there,
Planet
so
on the
pretty
front.
subtle and simple. But like honestly, we love these jumpers. We wear them all the time. They're
Yeah, we
comfortable.
did. These aren't something that we just bought and
Put
slapped a
together.
thing on. We did
Yeah.
try
Oh, it was
out.
a lot of effort.
We tried out probably 3 different ones for this. Chose this company. We tried out 6 different shirts for this. So it's not like we just chose a normal band shirt and slapped it on. We chose the material. We chose the printing.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
This is the softest shirt. Like these are as good as shirts
Yeah.
as you can.
Oh,
have.
everything's
Yeah.
very
Shout out
comfortable.
Darcy, why don't you show us this shirt as
Yeah.
well? So that's featuring also the adapted artwork of Mr. Crystalface.
Yes.
That shirt is so soft. It's
is.
honestly
It's nice.
just the nicest shirt.
Such a
Yeah.
light kind of material.
Good
Yeah.
for male.
Holding
male
it's like-
worth saying as well. Good for male and
stretchy.
female.
Yeah, absolutely.
Worth,
Good,
worth for male and
good
female
for men
as
and
well.
women. Absolutely,
Yeah.
it really is. And Michael.
And here we have the lyrics and lyrics and artwork posters. So part of the booklet is one image per song. So each one has a different color scheme.
And that's what was also used in the visual show, is each image from the poster and from the lyrics book was used in the visual show per song.
Yeah. So the visual show, the whole concept is there's even though there's so much happening, it's only 8 images that have been heavily affected.
Yeah.
So those 8 images, when you see like the animasis visuals, it's only one image. So if you liked that and you're like, I want to sort of solidify
Really see
that
what's
and,
going on,
and have that as a permanent fixture in my
Yeah,
life.
to see
then-
the original image.
Yeah, these basically what happens is they're all those things, but this one goes in the middle and then the other ones go
Yep.
on the outside.
So it makes
It's
a
a
big
crisp.
poster set.
Totally.
Yeah, they're awesome. And most of the merch we have as well was created in Australia as well, so supporting local Australian
Yeah.
businesses
and
as well.
Christopher is Australian too, so he's
Yeah,
supporting a
absolutely.
local
Yeah,
Australian artist.
yeah, supporting Crystalface as well by purchasing the merch. Any last words for your fans?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Well,
honestly.
yeah. What else can I say?
Oh,
Yeah,
heaps
we
to
watched all those comments and to have a sort of a stream where it's 100% positive, I guess. I didn't really see any
Yeah.
bullshit
Yeah,
in there,
yeah.
and it's
Probably
like,
was. Bit
and
of
also
riff-raff.
like I don't know, like we're releasing this album, and how many people just message us saying, "It's only 2 days away. Good luck, guys." So they're almost like it's like what a friend would say to you. You know,
Yeah.
good luck on your thing.
Yeah,
It's
they're
almost
so on board.
it's not just a
That's
band.
so
They're not
on.
just message. I've never messaged a band saying good luck, but like these guys do it. You know,
Yeah.
as though they're our friends, and like that's what could you ask for?
Yeah.
And I'll just add to that as well, like obviously, as we said, but like just can't even thank our fans and supporters enough for just being with us on this journey and being part of the live stream and watching the album with us live.
Getting it.
Throwing any questions, sharing us, talking about it. Honestly, like thank you guys so much
Yeah.
for being involved. We couldn't do it without you, and we wouldn't do it without you. So thank you guys.
And also
Yeah.
thanks for like watching that and just sort of taking everything as it comes. It's like some things are jarring, some things are experimental, some things are whatever. You know, like it's
Yeah.
we're really pushing our own boundaries. So it's easy for certain types to sit back and go, oh, this is not what I expected. This is not normal metal. This is not normal this. It's pretty not normal. And for everyone to be in there and just taking the journey as it goes and being present and acceptive of that thing is like, it shows a lot about
Pretty
our
incredible.
fans, honestly.
That's good.
And
Yeah, we want
getting-
to kind of eradicate like the gatekeeping culture that surrounds a lot of different genres. Like it even surrounds psytrance. It surrounds it like every genre has its gatekeepers, and I think some people kind of bow to gatekeeping a little bit, and they're like, oh, we can't do that because people are going to hate it.
Even the female vocals, like if you're going to be a metal band, it's like generally you don't really put women in there.
Yeah,
like,
you
you know,
have
like,
to- yeah.
but like, of course, then fucking do it even more. You know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, this
no
is
one's
that place.
no one's hearing the female vocals and going, oh, what's with these women in metal? It's like these women in metal sounds fucking
Belongs
amazing.
there.
So yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
and like
totally.
my final thought, just to part ways, is sort of like obviously it can't be understated the help and support that it offers us when people get on our website and buy merchandise and donate and pay for digital downloads, pay what you feel is fair. Like that really helps us to keep this thing going. So the more you guys can do that, and the more you guys can get involved on that level, that really helps us to push things like vinyl and to push things like future live shows and new releases and everything. Like, you know, support in terms of comments and feedback, but money makes the world go around, and straight out, like if people want to support, that helps us a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone. Well, that wraps up the album launch party with Lucid Planet. The album is available for purchase on their website, www.lucidplanet.net, alongside other awesome merch. If you love this music, like Luke said, please continue to share. Please continue to support it. Share it with your friends. It's one of the absolute best ways to support Lucid Planet. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll see you next
guys.
time.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Bye-bye.